This time on Watchers of Tomorrow, sex and drugs.
Hello, welcome to Watchers of Tomorrow, the sci-fi review and critique show that may be happening all inside of your own mind. We don't know, and we're not going to tell you. I am Geff, and I'm joined as always by my friend and co-host Dr. Izix.
Hi.
And this week we've got another movie because I don't know. We wanted more time. We wanted less time, more time to work on complicated episodes, but more time on our holiday break in between doing Star Trek things.
Yes, and plus, I didn't do a movie episodes last season, so it's like, I'll go ahead and, put in the synopsis scripting and all that for this one, and get when you get to have it easy, because I'll also edit this one, so hooray!
yeah, I get a break.
You've done a lot of work on the show behind the scenes. I've done less so over the course of the whole series. So I'll take this one to even it out a little bit. How about that?
Thank you. So yeah, this was your pick for a movie, which is a movie with at least 3 different names that I've found.
That kind of happens, yeah. It's one of those things where you got a movie that's based off a book and was sort of in development hell for a while, and so yeah.
So let's see, we've got The Congress, the 2013 film, also called Les Congrès in French. I know I pronounced that wrong, but imagine that I said it right, but for French.
Yes, it is French for the Congress, but it is Les Congrès.
Or Robin Wright's The Congress, or The Congress of something, which was another name that I saw, and now I'm not finding in my research, but that's what the version I watched was like subtitled as
The Futurological Congress, which is what the book.
I mean, that's what the book was called. I don't know if they called it the Futurological Congress in any of the versions or not. Especially since in the movie they call it the Futurist Congress, which is what we call future stuff more now. Yeah.
Yes. Also, the version I saw, technically called it Robin Wright at the Congress.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
So yeah, there's some variations here, and honestly, I don't necessarily know if there's anything big difference-wise in terms of the film between them, but so my version is at least the one that I saw, so deal with it.
Yeah, and to not give away too much, if there were differences between the ones that we saw, I don't think we'd ever know.
Yes. This is a kind of weird movie with a lot of weird stuff going on, and it's kind of hard to keep track of what actually is happening.
Yeah, intentionally.
Yes. You kind of see what's happening, but to really describe it properly in the context, well, we'll get into that later.
Yeah. Yeah. I think largely one of the things that you should do is but as you're listening to this episode, if you're anywhere near a phone or computer, you should look up this movie on Google and just look at some screenshots, because that'll show you the kind of thing we're trying to describe to you.
Yep. Yeah, it's like, here's a picture of a lady standing in a sort of a weird outfit, with a bunch of lights and stuff, and okay, that's sort of sci-fi-ish. All right, here's an airport with a Zeppelin. That's also kind of sci-fi-ish. And here's a room that's like a cartoon, and it seems to feature the one lady from like those James Bond film, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, she's apparently pointing at the TV.
People flying through a mushroom city.
And here's a prisoner, in front of a firing squad situation, and then here's an older fellow just kind of looking at a microphone.
And I'm sorry, I'm scrolling through the images right now, and one of them is like the thumbnail for a movie review channel that seems to be the movie being reviewed by a Muppet in large Einstein doctor glasses. And if I've ever seen a movie that's more appropriately reviewed by a Muppet, I don't know what it was.
Excellent. A couple others is of course a whale and some ships on some waves and a big rainbow going down the middle, and it's all weirdly technicolor. And then,
yeah.
Then here's Jesus and Buddha hanging out with Joan of Arc, and Elvis is in the background. So yeah, this is that sort of movie.
So you probably have all the actual like extra stuff because you wrote all the things.
Bits and pieces. There's a lot of things like visually that you can spot in this movie that I could have included, but I did not, and I tried to keep it as sort of straightforward on what we know is actually happening. But I do mention from time to time some of the weird visuals that are going on. So yeah.
So do you have the director and cast lists, or should I talk about them?
Well, I guess we can start off with the director, who's also one of the he's like the primary writer, Ari Folman. Do you know about him?
I was not familiar. He does a
was,
lot of other things that I've never heard of. It doesn't seem to work in American film a lot.
Yes. I believe he's attached to a studio based in Israel. And for the film, did a lot of work with a lot of international animation houses for the parts of the movie that are animated. More on that later. But as far as his work, a lot of them are films I've never heard of, honestly, like Santa Clara, Made in Israel, Natara PG. It's actually a TV series. Sorry. Whereas Anne Frank, that was another
I've
recent
heard of
thing.
that. Waltz with Bashir seems to be all over the place.
Yes.
Made in Israel. Santa Clara. Yeah, lots of things I've never heard of as well.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of stuff going on with Israel right now, and we could potentially touch upon that at some point here. But in terms of the core of this particular film, there's not a lot that deals with the Israeli experience, but there is some Nazi imagery to sort of maybe touch upon at a couple points.
Yeah, the film is American. The title is French for some reason. It's just
and it's based on a
Polish book.
A novelist, Stanislaw Lem's book, and he was hanging out in the 70s in Poland, which means communist Eastern Europe sort of situation, and apparently the original book was the main character is going to the Futurological Congress, drinks some tap water, gets to hallucinating a bit, and then falls into a sewer, and then wakes up after some adventures 20 years later, and there's some craziness, and then some other stuff happens, and they fall, and they're back in the sewer because it's only been a day.
Yeah. It's one of those everything's a hallucination, or is it sort of books. Yeah.
Yes. And so, there's bits of stuff to sort of, unpack in that novel, but I've not read it. But a lot of the, imagery and or, a number of plot points are taken from one and put into the other here. So yeah. That also means the first third of the movie is not really attached to the original book at all. So
yeah.
So that's the writers and director. So some actors and actresses. Should we start with the main character?
Yeah, because there's interestingly, even though there are other characters in this, most of the things that I'm seeing only mention her as anyone starring in this movie.
Yes, Robin Wright.
Funny.
Yes, she's perhaps best known for a little film called The Princess Bride, which maybe we'll review that someday. Maybe where she plays the Princess Bride, Buttercup, and that's like one of those movies that like folks in our age demographic have like all seen, like even if you didn't want to.
Yep, you know of it.
Yes.
Even if you haven't seen it, you know it.
Yes. Oh no, Wesley. And she's been in a number of things over the years. Was in a long-running series for like 500 some episodes called Santa Barbara. She was in the movie Toys, which is like on my stretch list if we ever need more stuff to talk about. Forrest Gump, Unbreakable, The Singing Detective, which is interesting.
How to Kill Your Neighbor's Dog, a fun one.
One of the versions of A Christmas Carol that are out there, since there's so many. Moneyball, Blade Runner 2049, Wonder Woman, in some of the various Justice League cuts, and more recently something called Devil's Peak.
Which I guess wasn't received well. Though I do like a movie just called Land.
Played Edie. Was also in House of Cards for like a whole bunch of episodes. So she's been doing a lot of different stuff.
Had a long and relatively successful career, unlike the fictionalized character that she's playing.
And as far as the other characters, there's Harvey Keitel, who plays Al, who is apparently her agent. Harvey has been in tons of stuff as well. Most recently, The Paradox Effect was an episode of National Treasure Edge of History, which I didn't know existed. The Comedian, Outlaws, Rio, I Love You, The Last Godfather, Life on Mars.
You've seen him in a lot of stuff. You'll recognize him.
Yes,
from things.
He's also in the original National Treasure as well. He was also played Dad in Little Nicky. Which, you know the character Dad from Little Nicky?
I've never seen Little Nicky.
All right. So Little Nicky is one of the sons of the devil.
Okay,
and
fun.
Dad is his dad. But yeah. So yeah, he's been in things from like back in the 70s. There's a couple more I wanted to mention real quick. The Piano, Dream One, The Border, Taxi Driver, and of course the FBI.
You always get one. You always get one.
There's Sammy Gale, who plays Sarah, Robin's in movie daughter. She's mostly known for being a character in Blue Bloods. There is John Hamm, who plays Dylan Trueliner, who was in a whole bunch of things like Good Omens, where he plays Gabriel. He was in Top Gun Maverick, Invincible, as Steve's voice. Beirut Nostalgia, Baby Driver, and so on and so forth on back. So you've got a lot of actors here that are been in a lot of things.
You've seen him in a lot of stuff. Baby Driver is one of those really good movies that got ruined by having a terrible person in it.
We got Cody Smith McPhee, who has been in a number of things as well. Like he was a Nightcrawler in Dark Phoenix and X-Men Apocalypse. He's in one of the various adaptations of Romeo and Juliet, Paranorman, The King, and was in something called Stranded, was like their first acting role. There is Danny Houston, who plays Jeff, also known as Jeff Green in the movie. He's been running around as well for a good while. Was in Yellowstone, Marlowe, The Dead Don't Hurt most recently. Cross the River and Into the Trees, Game Night, Last Photograph, Playoff, won the Robin Hoods, the one from 2010.
Yeah, another one of those guys that you will definitely recognize from sight.
Yes. So I think they call those kind of folks character actors sometimes.
Yes.
But yes. And a couple more folks. There's Michael Stahl David, who plays Steve, but he's only in the first third of the movie, who's been in also a lot of things like LBJ, Newsreaders, Mercy, Cloverfield, and such. And last one I'm going to mention, there's still a number of other characters, but the last one that's any real consequence, Paul Giamatti plays Dr. Barker. And he's also another one of those folks that you'd recognize from everything.
One of those character actor guys that you spend the whole movie going like, I know this dude.
He's in Billions and 30 Coins most recently. He played a guy in Rick and Morty. He's in White Fang, Hoke, Parkland, Turbo. John dies at the end, 30 Rock. John Adams, Nanny Diaries, Paycheck, Thunderpants. Should I be concerned about that one?
I don't know.
He was the control room guy in the Truman Show. He was even in that video game Ripper.
Oh yeah, I kind of remember that.
So yeah, he's been in a lot of different things, like everyone else in this, except Sammy Gale, who's only been in some things. So yeah, so that's our main cast there, and as I said before, a couple of these characters only show up in the first third of the movie, and the rest kind of float away after that.
Yeah, or they might be around. You'd have no way of knowing.
Around but not being voice acted. Hint, hint. So, anything before we get into it?
No, I mean this is going to be a difficult one. I'm curious. I'm curious how you got this one to work out.
Well, I did get it to close to 3,000 words in terms of things here. So,
and that's mostly where we're at with these.
Yes. So hopefully this works out all right. All right. So ready, Geplin?
Yeah. Let's go. I mean, the first bit's pretty straightforward. We don't need to worry about that.
Well Geplin, do you have your ampule ready?
Yeah.
All right, make sure to break it open at the right time. Robin Wright at the Congress. We are presented with Robin, tears on her face. Her agent, Al, is pointing out how he's stuck with her despite her flighty nature and how, and also she has made lots of lousy choices, so she's just terrible. That, she's had a big break as a star at 24, but now she just kind of sucks.
And I don't know enough about Hollywood, but if agents are like this, that's awful. That's a very terrible, abusive relationship with that agent.
Yes, very much so. And I would not want to keep him around as my agent if that was the case. So Robin, I think you can do better. I suspect the real version does actually do better. The house is a renovated hangar, and they're right next to the airport. So that's cool. There's something about people calling about a deal, but Al doesn't seem to know what it's all about. Then Robin's daughter pops in to mention the airport security call. And there's the usual problem with Erin, her son. It's Erin's her daughter, by the way. So Erin's off flying a kite by the airport fence, much to the annoyance of the guards and their dogs. And there's some strange audio-visual effects kind of going on here. Letting his kite go over the fence is kind of a big problem, and so they'll not be so nice if it happens again.
Yeah, because you're flying a kite next to an active airport.
Yes. Like, airplanes that are going a little too low might actually hit it. So, they don't want to be responsible for, broken airplanes or kids getting strangled by their own kite lines. It is now dinner time. We find out Erin and his sister like to talk about the airplanes that land out back. Robin's like, yeah, no more of that nonsense with the fence, else we'll have to move somewhere you'll hate. Erin seems to be having kind of visions of an airplane coming right at their home. Sarah's curious about that offer Al brought up. This leads to suggesting her mom could get various roles that Robin really isn't loving. Later, at Marymount Studios, aka not Paramount, Robin spots a poster for The Princess Bride. In a meeting with the studio guy, Jeff, aka Jeff Green, studio guy, he's singing her praises, but also he's looking to offer her the last contract she'll ever have. Robin's like, hey, I'm not that old. What's up? He lays out that everything is changing. Hollywood's norms are going away. Robin's a little confused. He then explains that they want to scan her, get a likeness, get the full behavior, her vibes, and then they'd have this new version of her to play roles.
Yeah, because everything's changing in that actors are asking for reasonable things, and we hate that. And now we don't have to deal with stupid actors anymore. Isn't it great?
We'll just animate you. Isn't that wild? And so she'll be able to play all these great roles, like all the ones she gave up over the years. They won't need Robin. They'll just have her scan. So they can totally save her from her poor life choices. You know, the ones Al mentioned. Al is a bit old school and a bit confused by all this, but then Jeff lays out that anyone who doesn't sign up now will basically be gone, as there won't be any actual actors from here on out. Just the scans. So come on, join our computer-generated future. Give us Buttercup. Also, if you sign, you can't act. Ever again. Anywhere. So Robin's like, screw that, and she leaves. Jeff then tells Al that the offer is valid for the next 30 days. Back at home, Robin joins Aaron outside to see how he's doing. She wakes him up and asks about flying a kite, ideally responsibly. He laments missing a landing and, oh mom, you look sad, so why don't you go fly a kite? So she does. Later, it is candle in the ear time, smoke your ears out for Aaron. I'm not really sure what kind of treatment this is, but
it's a bullshit thing that people sell to say that you're like removing wax and impurities from someone's ear.
Yeah,
it's a hollow silly candle that's supposed to like, you know, updraft things out of your ear. It's sufficiently new agey to believe that a Hollywood person would be into it.
Yes, I think it just looks silly and pointless. So they're doing this, but the door rings. It's Al, and he's brought Steve, the contract guy. Sarah goads Steve into talking the contract business. We learn that these contracts basically create a digital actor that is controlled by the studio, except for the things where the contract says no. So you got to make sure all the important things are in there before settling things and signing. And the former actor's not an actor anymore, and they can kind of just do whatever they like. You know, they can go play golf if they want to. So we cut to a scene in a kitchen. There's a couple people. It's very melodramatic, and we learn the guy, Max, voted for Bush. Al's showing the scene to Robin and the family, as the scene was digitally created. That's why Michelle's eye keeps twitching in a weird way. Al tries to point out that this is just like normal, but the actors didn't have to put up with being on set for weeks, enduring the typical nonsense of Hollywood. Robin's like, they didn't ask Michelle to be in this, to take this role. Al's retort is that they've been telling you what to do since the beginning. You're their puppet. Always have been. Robin's like, hey, I like having a choice in what roles I play. Al's angry and argues that this is her opportunity, her way to true freedom.
Is there possibly a question about free choice? Is determined by the individual versus by the environment around them?
Yes, there's maybe questions here. At the doctor's, Dr. Barker will now see Aaron. Time for some hearing tests. Barker says a word and Aaron repeats the word. But Aaron gets a bunch of them wrong, but he does some lip reading as Barker's, explaining to Robin that Aaron's senses are really falling apart. The kid's got Usher syndrome, you see, and he might be completely blind by his 30s. So that's terrible. But Aaron is already processing what he does see and hear in new ways, like, the movie people will be doing in the futures. And that's pretty wild. So, hey, you got any new gigs coming up? Robin hints that, yeah, she'll probably take a new part to the studio to get the scanning sorted. Robin has some restrictions to get worked out on the contract side first, like no porn, no Nazis, just like, come on, Nazi stuff wins awards. He also balks at the no sci-fi. Al states that sci-fi is a dumb genre. Do you agree, Zeplin?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why anyone would look at or talk about it or spend any amount of time thinking about that.
Jeff's like, come on, sci-fi is fantasy, and I want to make you young forever. So give on this and, all the cool stuff. And Steve's like, hey, how will we make this a 20-year contract? Jeff's like, sure. Robin's all like, all right, hey, okay, let's sign and get this thing scanned, like right now. Christopher will be doing the scanning. He's a cinematographer, or was. Robin gets changed and gets the scanning sphere. The sphere turns on and things begin. Christopher starts asking her to do things like smile and laugh, then shifts to emptiness. But Robin's not feeling it, so Al starts telling her a story about how he became an agent. It involves a scheme involving selling tickets to a kid with a tail. It escalated until he was tossed in juvie. He lays out that he figured out how to find someone's flaw and exploit it. And that's how he met Robin and her fear. Throughout the story and this revelation, Robin goes from happy and laughing to uneasy, anxious, and then finally sad. Al exploited her. But then Robin had kids. She stopped being so scared. Al was worried he'd be out of a job. But Aaron's condition started going downhill, which meant Al regained his leverage. Also, this is your last performance, Robin. 20 years later, Robin's driving down the highway. She stops at a checkpoint, the entry point for Ahmahara, and it is her first time. The gate guard explains that she is expected at the hotel as a guest of the Futurist Congress. He's impressed by her 2013 model car. He also reminds her that Ahmahara is a restricted animation zone. The only way to leave is by meeting him again on her way out. He gives her a small ampule. She huffs it and drives on through. Down the road she goes. She looks a bit animated in the rear-view mirror. The desert transforms into colorful nonsense. Everything is animated. Ships rise out of the desert as her car, now part speedboat, follows the Rainbow Road. She passes a friendly octopus before stopping at a cliff to get a preview for our movie, featuring Robin Wright, the digital version. Agent Robin is back again.
They're all over balloons for some reason. They really love Zeppelins.
It is the future of Zeppelin time. Down the cliff and through the clouds to where all those ships have parked, Robin gets out of the car, and some, robots are there to help. Did I mention that everything is very animated? The interior of the hotel is like a Max Fleischer cartoon. A guy drinks a vial and then turns into like Clint Eastwood or something, but just for a second. A lady does it and becomes Marilyn Monroe. Another lady does it and so on and so forth, and this one becomes Agent Robin. Some robots, probably actual staff disguised as such, spot her. She puts on some shades to have a conversation with Aaron. There's a suave guy watching her as mom and son chat. Robin's impressed by being so animated, like she looks like Cinderella on heroin or an Egyptian queen on a bad hair day. Also, this very lewd fish tank. Aaron wonders if she's been recognized. She says, nah, while a bunch of the robots slowly crowd around her. Robin seeks out a room from an inflatable lady. Then it's time to gaze out the window forlornly. Also, there's a hazmat suit in her bathroom. Artificial Robin gives a very vapid interview on the blimp that's just hanging out by the hotel. Then the power goes out. The room service AI isn't that helpful with that, but we'll get her food in about 2 seconds. The robot fellow that delivers her breakfast points out that if she sees the dark, she chose the dark. But he's glowing, so he's good to go. She lights part of her breakfast, has a bad time seeing herself looking incredibly old, but young in the mirror. So it is, time to headbutt the mirror and ask for Jeff Green. She'll sign. Time for a musical number. But it gets raided by Miramount Police, the leader of which is Mr. Jeff Green. She's getting arrested for performing. Oh no! But it was all just a dream. The real Mr. Green is expecting her in his office. Past the sad tobacco shop is Classics and Jeff Green's office. Also, Tom Cruise? Seems she and Cruise are the only actors that are still relevant anymore. All the rest were retired and replaced by original characters. The last 20 years, Tom Cruise was off doing UNICEF work while Robin took care of Aaron. Meeting with Jeff, Robin uses Tom's line to explain what she's been up to. Jeff explains that all of this Hollywood stuff is coming to an end. The script writers and animators will be gone soon. Movies are old news.
Yeah, soon we won't need anyone to make movies. Haha, just make money.
Oh no. Creative works are coming to an end, Gepwin. You see, Miramount and the world is entering a new era. Robin's curious about the extension of her contract. Jeff's like, oh yeah, sure, another 20-year contract, fine? Fine, okay. But also, you'll be a chemical formula? People can drink you and imagine Robin however they like. Also, no more restrictions. He's sure she'll sign again because she's like desperate to be seen. She came here to be on stage just one more time after all. Later, some gazing outside into the orange haze seems to be suggesting an army approaching. Also, she spots a guy with a weird hairdo and a shady vibe. Gives a little pshh with the finger. Time for the Futurist Congress. A big old party down below with drums and the president of Miramount Nagasaki, Reeve Bobs. He looks like Conan O'Brien, but with glasses and a very sinister vibe. He revs up the crowd as Robin hangs with Jeff and Tom Cruise. The shady guys in the rafters assembling a gun. Seems the scientists at Miramount Nagasaki Labs have unlocked this free choice thing. We spot a suave guy in the crowd, the one from before. Tomorrow, the free choice formula will be available out there in the world. Reeves demonstrates by being Clint Eastwood for a moment, then Jesus, then Agent Robin. Folks are pumped. Time to load the ammo. Robin gets invited on stage. Sniper dude aims roughly at Robin. She lays out what's going to happen. Also, think about the person behind this character you're playing as. So, like, wake up, guys. Reeve is not too happy. She then introduces Aaron. You guys could have spent some time helping him with his actual problems, So, you all suck. And if you go through all this, embrace your world of hedonism and all that, you'll die of guilt for being so selfish. Bah. She, naturally, gets pulled off by security. Reeve tries to get the crowd back on by pointing out that Ahmahara isn't going to be its own thing anymore. Everything will be animated. It'll be their whole life. Blam! After the shot, everyone panics. Suave guys. All cool, though. Robin sees the sniper legging it. There's a flare. A rocket strikes the hotel. Robin's like, I'm out of here. Suave guy joins her as they see the approaching forces. There's gunfire in the distance. Suave guy pulls her away from the edge of the ship-like hotel as the grappling hooks land. Bees fly overhead, and Suave puts bubbles over their heads and his head and hers as the gas is deployed. The purple haze fills the hotel as he tries to get them somewhere safe, and mentions that they're now trapped as animated characters. Whoops. In an access tunnel, they pass some of the gas mask-clad invaders. One of them seems to be Sarah? Suave guy's like, heck yeah, she'd be on the rebel side for sure. Armin's like, how do you know this? He's like, I know a lot of stuff. Into the flooded boiler room to toss the hotel manager out of his floating seat. They go, so Robin has a nice place to, lay down, recover a little bit, because she's been having a bad time. Suave tries to keep Robin awake. She wants to, but she's all like, I want to see Aaron. But then Jeff of the Miramount Police shows up to take her away from the burning wreckage of the hotel via helicopter, along with the very surly Reeves. There's Aaron's kite, and they run into it, and it takes down the helicopter, and they're crashing, and wait, that was all a dream.
See, those kites are dangerous.
Yes, they're able to take down a military helicopter without any problems. She wakes up on the floating seat. Suave guy introduces himself as Dylan. He's her animator, or was. He's very familiar with her as a result. He had to research her as he wasn't familiar with her at the start. Debris falls and a guy in a cockroach declares that the rebels have taken over the management floor and are halting the chemistry flow. They'll be real again. But Robin's seeing lots of plant growth, including from Dylan's fingers and shirt. He admits to kind of stalking her, but, just to get more data on her for his work purposes. Honest.
Yeah, in an endearing way. Yeah, I stalked you, but in a way that's like endearing and nice, not creepy. No.
I just know everything about you. Yes, cut to a scene from an Agent Robin film. Airplane is flying high, but they're having trouble dropping a bomb, it seems. So Agent Robin hotwires the bomb and pulls a Slim Pickens, rides the bomb all the way down. Kaboom! Back in the flooded boiler room, Robin awakes to Jeff in diving gear. He explains everyone else hallucinated themselves out of there. He berates her for speaking out on stage. So, she being taken away as a prisoner. Jeff asks how she'd like it. As she stands in front of what appears to be like a firing squad. I mean, they're all here. Which way do you want to go? She asks for a single bullet to the head. And Jeff provides it. Blam. Off the hotel edge, and then there's doctors? The doctors lay out that everything she's experienced of late is a hallucination. That she even asked the chief fireman to put a bullet in her head. She's clearly a lost cause, so let's freeze her until we can figure this whole thing out. Robin walks through the snow. Oh, hey, Aaron's kite again. Aaron is just kind of sliding across the ice there, being pulled by his kite. They meet, and he can hear her. Oh, that's nice. She holds on to him, and the kite takes them across the ice towards a cavern. On the TV is Ronald Reagan with a British guy's voice, talking about how the weather, is gone wonky. People are apologizing for the lack of symmetry in the rainbows. Thunderstorms appear suddenly and then go, and Robin's still kind of hanging out there in bed with this lady lurking nearby. Lady asks her to, release your mind from the thoughts and whatever. Robin then explains she was supposed to wake up in the distant future, and, Lady's like, oh yeah, we have to start things familiar with it, with you all. Like the early 1980s, and it's wacky carpet, Reagan, and television. That's why you're in this room.
It's basically the end of Captain America.
Basically, yes. Except, instead of, the 1940s, it's the 1980s. She has a visitor. It's Dylan. He waited all this time for her. She and he and everything are still animated, by the way. Robin mentions that Sarah is safe. Is still looking for Aaron, though. Dylan looked for him, but couldn't find him. Robin is confused, and Dylan explains that, be he alive or dead, it will require a long journey to find him. He takes her out of the hospital and towards the big city. As the grassy field spawns weird giant plants and snake vines, Robin mentions, he doesn't know how long she's been frozen. And, as the conversation progresses, we learn that folks can't really figure out anymore as time's markers are now very subjective. When is day or night? It all depends on your own mind.
Time's made up and the points don't matter.
Indeed. In the city, they find Jesus, David Bowie, Egyptian gods, naked people with plums for heads, Agent Robin, Elvis, Vishnu, and all sorts of other characters just kind of hanging out. The people around them give off pheromones, which are translated into the images of what they are being in that moment. Strange birds fly overhead. Dylan explains a mind trip he took when he was studying Greek myths recently. It involves being a bull and having his way with Zeus's daughter. So, you can kind of just choose whatever you want to be experiencing, and then you just kind of feel it. Robin's like, so, how about Usher syndrome? And she asks this of the guy at the chemistry counter. And he's kind of confused by the request. One hint of that later, she starts seeing some wild stuff. Her arms turn into wings, and she flies away. Dylan follows along. They land by a field with a whole bunch of naked people. This is where Sarah's hanging out nowadays. Having babies. But meeting up with her is kind of tricky as they can't recognize each other due to that whole chemistry thing. They fly off. At the overgrown airport, Dylan pulls out a kite. It's Aaron's, apparently. They fly it, but lose their holds on it, and the kite goes off and hits an airplane. The airplane explodes and crashes on a bunch of others, and then it's time for the sex. Quite explosive. Also the vines. They get everywhere.
You gotta clean up your vines after sex.
At least it's not sand. Later at the diner, Michael Jackson is serving them lobster discs or cuts or something. Robin floats the idea of not being part of the chemical party anymore. Dylan explains she'll be in the real world where there's still people who actually, run things, including this very existence. But, there won't be this world's wonder there. He's never been out himself because he has no idea if someone could come back. Robin asks to be sent back. Dylan pulls a capsule from his tooth. It was his retirement gift. A single-person dose to clear the chemistry from their system. He loves her. He waited 20 years, then another 20. But he'll let her have it to leave this world. Just, don't look at him in the real world. Remember him as he is here in this place. She walks off, spots Tom Cruise again, and that security guard from the Ahmahara checkpoint. That's weird. As the capsule takes effect, things grow dim, and then we see the real world, as all the beautiful people reveal themselves. Dirty and disheveled folks, just standing around. Robin wanders through the crowd, looking older and tired. There's also people in full-body hazmat suits. She finds a lady in one of the suits, looking exhausted and resting on the ground. She asks if there's any doctors around, and it's like, there are, up above. On a train ride with dazed-out people, she seeks the airship access point. At the airport is a red kite, just like Aaron's. Robin is then pulled by the kite into the air as she stands in a basket. On the blimp, people notice her. She asks for Dr. Barker. He's around and surprised to see her. They hug. He talks about how drugs always hid the truth, but have just gotten way better. She asks about Aaron. He waited 19 years for her to return. He was going blind. 6 months ago, he crossed over into the chemical world. Finding him is basically impossible, as he doesn't exist in the real world anymore, effectively, and on the other side, there's no way to know who he is. Oh, and, she can go back there if she likes. He also lays out that where she was isn't really a thing anymore. So if she goes back, she'll be basically on a new trip. What was is gone. But he does go ahead and get her new ampule. Back to the animated world. Shadows and light, and Aaron is a baby and flying a kite and getting his hearing checked, and Sarah is saying goodbye, and Robin's off to the Congress and hanging with Dr. Becker as Mom remains frozen and up to the blimp to see Dr. Becker to get his ampule. Robin follows her son's path to where Aaron is now, tying down his right flyer, and they meet again. The end!
Yeah. Did any of that make sense to you? Because that was not the experience of watching this.
I did my best to boil it down to the things that seem to be actually happening. As opposed to, here's some weird thing flying above. Here's some gardens growing out of a skyscraper. Here's the landscape that they're flying over. All that sort of stuff. And it's like, this one bit looks like a pointillism painting, but completely different, but kind of that same vibe.
Yeah, that's always the struggle that I've seen with these synopsizing these kinds of things, is you make it make more sense than I think the movie's trying to.
Yes. It is an interesting experience, I have to say, but I'm curious, Geplin, what did you like this movie, or did you find it just baffling?
I didn't find it baffling. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as an interesting thing that they were trying to do. I felt like they didn't particularly use the stuff that they were doing in a interesting enough way to justify the other filmmaking choices that they made.
Mm-hmm.
They had a very slow, slightly confusing, interestingly animated movie that didn't seem to want to actually grapple with any particular questions, just present you with a sort of generic, is this really happening plot line, and then throw in some stuff at the end that indicated they hadn't really thought about what they were trying to communicate at all.
And it's sort of like that ending is like, all right, so I guess the plot is she's trying to get back to Aaron. Well, she very much cares for her kid, and as sort of Al pointed out earlier, that his condition sort of degrading, is kind of a big focus for her, especially after her initial contract signing. But there's still all this other stuff going on that she's kind of just experiencing, but it's not necessarily becoming her main sort of motivation for taking action going forward.
Yeah, it's one of those movies where stuff is happening to the main character and around the main character instead of the character having any particular driving force in the plot, which can be fine in and as it goes, but they weren't presenting you with enough of anything for it to like. It had to make a little more sense than it did in order for them to be critiquing anything, because otherwise it's kind of just look at the pretty pictures.
Yes. Though I will, I guess, say that such sort of totality of it does fit with the part early in the movie where it's like, yeah, you're their puppet already. It's just a different way of doing it. And you always have been. So, if you have been, sort of told that you are basically a tool of other people to, experience something, you kind of find yourself maybe going along with that flow as you, are now seeing copies of yourself everywhere of people now being you. It's like, well, that's weird. I guess I need to figure out what I actually want to do with my life, and I'm not really going to think about this because, well, maybe that's just depressing.
There's a strain of movies that I feel like are movies that are mostly made for people who make movies.
This kind of feels like one.
I feel like this is like a movie about actors, for actors. Because a lot of the stuff makes a lot of sense when you get into things like, who are you as opposed to the character that everyone else in the world knows you as, and the public relations image that you put forth as opposed to who you actually are in private, away from all of the other ways that you're seen, and how much does that carry over one to the other.
What is the real you? Is it the Robin that came in at the beginning of her scanning? It's like, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to act, and then kind of fell apart, not really kind of jiving with things? Or is the real her the version that is listening to Al's story and getting slowly angry and then sad about how she's been manipulated her whole life? Which one is the true her?
Mm-hmm. And this whole it's interesting now because the idea of scanned AI computer generated actors has become so depressingly relevant very recently. It's interesting that this does it uses it as a jumping off point in the beginning, and then it's kind of barely mentioned again.
Yes. It's like, well, I guess this is a thing we're now doing, and that kind of gives us a reason to have Agent Robin clones show up later. But yeah, it doesn't, in terms of the, I guess, the story of that particular part of it, it's not actually saying a whole lot other than perhaps, if you get a good contract, you can actually get paid for it.
I mean, I guess the question that I had in some of this is which of the Robin rights are we following for the rest of the movie? Because they do they give you some idea that it's supposed to be the real world non-scanned one, but most of the stuff that's happening only makes any kind of sense as this is happening inside of a computer.
The AI got out. Oh no! It's now wandering around the chemical experience scape, and without a animator actively producing work for it to do things, it's now able to meander but also is limited to an animated existence, except near the end, where it gets a leg up from its animator once more to enter a more realistic version of reality.
Now, I wasn't super familiar with the book that this is based on, but I read some things about it more specifically. And I feel like this is one of those interesting minor failures of adaptation where you aren't necessarily adapting the book directly or adapting some ideas and general things from the book. You're taking concepts and motifs and things. The book is this very weird sci-fi trope that keeps happening, which is presenting the audience with a utopian future that the author made up, obviously, because it's whatever thing they're presenting as a utopian future. And then going, haha, but the utopian future that I made up isn't that great, actually. So, by contrast, any amount of progress might not be that great. Take that, liberals. Which is kind of the same thing that like Brave New World did as classic sci-fi, which they actually minorly referenced in a kind of offhanded way with the breeder colonies.
Yeah, there's only certain folks that are still having kids these days, and so so civilization's not going to collapse completely because everyone's kind of spaced out doing the stuff here, but that's a thing.
But it's kind of interesting to me the way that this is getting folded into modern interpretations of pharmaceuticals. And like they specifically mention at the end, the doctor says, this sort of drug trip escape from reality is something that everyone's already doing with antidepressants. This is just us doing it better. So what's the difference? But that critique coming from a book like this that was published in the 1970s is a very different thing that they were critiquing as opposed to what people are critiquing now with the overprescription of psychiatric medication. Because in the 60s and 70s, they were dealing with a supposed future that didn't pan out, but the thing that they are critiquing in there, here's how a way that the future could happen, was one in which LSD research and psychedelic drug research panned out in the way that they were hoping it would, to unlock all of the secrets and chemical processes of the mind in a way that would make it malleable and easily manipulatable.
And thus controllable.
Yeah, not just controllable, but by others, but even controllable by yourselves, because one of the key themes of the future section of the Futurological Conference book is that people are taking drugs to control their own moods. If you want to be happy, you take the happy drug, and if you want to be angry, you take the angry drug, etc., etc. Whereas
this also shows up in an episode of Doctor Who, by the way.
Yeah, which is a very different beast when you're dealing with science fiction written in the 70s as opposed to when you're trying to critique modern psychiatric medication, where there is a critique there of you're just giving people a drug to deal with long-term lasting societal problems, and you're just saying, here, take this and numb out your feelings about it and ignore what's going on.
You'll feel happier about the situation at the very least, and that's good enough, right?
Yeah. Which is a different beast. It's this kind of thing is basically saying that if everyone's distracted by being on a drug trip all the time, they'll ignore enough problems in the real world that it will just degrade around them without anyone noticing.
Yep.
Which, I mean, in a lot of ways, especially the way that this sort of thing is critiqued, this as a drug metaphor no longer functions in the way that it used to in the 70s. And the modern version of this is actually the VR or AR science fiction, where everything that you're looking at is filtered through the reality of a virtual reality or augmented reality system that is showing you a fake world that you live in as opposed to the real world. The old 1970s, hallucinogenic drug idea got morphed into that. So anything now that's taking exactly the same premise and using it as drug metaphor is getting in a little bit confused, because the way we've metaphorically thought about a fake reality that we're all living in has moved on from it's a direct manipulation of the brain to it's a computer image that's being projected for you.
it stops being, so much about the drugs itself, but just the manipulation of your perceptions.
Yeah, because a lot of this stuff is about manipulation of perception. That's the thing that they're trying to focus on. But we, especially after, Reagan era 1980s war on drugs mentality, we now have such an instinctive knee-jerk reaction to drugs equal bad that anything that has drugs as a manipulative force has this extra modern layer on top of it of that's automatically evil in some way. Mm-hmm. Which is not the way that drugs were being thought of when you were doing LSD experiments to see if you could talk to dolphins.
Yes. Did that work?
No, that was basically just animal abuse. It wasn't a bad idea, but the way that they did the study was just animal abuse. It wasn't really a study.
Yeah, I would be hesitant to participate in any sort of study before like 1990, I think.
Yeah.
Which I believe I actually did participate in a study when I was a young child, but it didn't involve drugs or anything like that, or horrific abuses. So
yeah, but you would have been you would have been the subject, probably not the researcher.
Yes, true. As the subject, I did not experience any abuse. It was more of a we're giving you testing because we want to see how testing works on younger children. As in, not IQ tests, but sort of basic skill sort of stuff. Yeah. So things have definitely evolved from the original, sort of vibe of the novel there. And you're right that there's sort of a certain, I guess, cynicism about narcotics of various sorts that is, being brought up by Dr. Becker there at the end. But do you know why I decided to choose this movie?
No. Because you want to slowly transition us into watching heavy metal.
Well, eventually maybe, which this does kind of have a vibe of at points. But the specifically is actually the AI stuff, the stuff that it kind of drops away, after the first half of the movie. Taking actors' likenesses and having their own little puppet version and all that. In fact, I recall there was some sort of big strike this past year about all that. Do you remember anything about that, Zeplin?
No, I mean, who can recall? But they just are making movies. Everything's fine now. Forget that we ever mistreated actors. Go watch the new Star Wars.
Yeah, there wasn't anything happening from July 14th to November 9th. Where lots of actors are like, yeah, we're not going to act, which means your productions aren't going to happen, and so you're going to lose lots of money. So, pay us. If you're going to do the whole, thing, scanning, which which, is science fiction in the movie, but is getting a bit closer to reality now. Yeah, pay us. Because, in the real world, the studios don't offer up a nice big contract that you can negotiate on. They were very much eager to, we had you come in for a day and that's all we need you for. Bye.
Yeah, one of the things that they were fighting against was for background actors to come in, get paid for half a day of work, and then their contract would say they could use them as a computer animated background forever with no additional compensation.
Which is a little ridiculous. Because, it's like, suddenly, you are showing up on all these random things, and because apparently you have no control over your likeness, that's just going to be a thing from now on. And, the Screen Actors Guild's like, maybe not.
But if you saw, I'm sorry, but someone on Tumblr a bit ago had a GIF from a more recent Disney Channel movie. Not being a child, I do not follow Disney Channel movies very closely, but they had a GIF from one that used AI background characters in one of their basketball scenes.
Yes, and I've seen this myself.
The PS2 level fucking graphics on this thing. So you don't even. Why are they even bothering to scan an actor?
It's obviously they can't animate them at this point. So maybe just don't. But if the executive producers on up are just this is good enough. then they're going to run with it because they're the ones that are making the big decisions and all this stuff.
I think what's kind of interesting is there's a bit of this that isn't being talked about as much, because obviously the workers' rights part of it and the way that a lot of people in creative industries are exploited if they don't have a very good, strong union, the way the actors do. Which is, in fact, one of the reasons they're trying to switch everything to computer-generated stuff, because people in doing CGI and computer art and graphics have no union, so they can underpay them for everything. So it's incredibly cheap for them to do that because they don't have good worker representation, and they're being overworked and underpaid just massively, and it's going to crash down around their ears in 5 or 6 years.
Yes. It's like, these digital animators, it's too new of a thing that and it's not covered by the normal Hollywood unions here, so we'll just keep pumping that up and then we'll make more money.
But
or, for putting out the same number of films and all that, and that will be good enough, right?
Yeah, I know. You pay someone $5 to make a Sonic movie that looks like a PS2 game. And...
Yep. Remember the teeth. Remember the teeth.
But one of the things that this kind of reminded me of when they were talking about taking her for the second contract and making it, we're not even going to animate you anymore. You will become a product. You will be a chemical that people can buy and drink and taste and turn into a milkshake. There's a weird thing that companies are doing right now that isn't getting as much attention, which is things like the big franchise films like Star Wars that Disney's taking and running into the ground to make as many Star Wars things as humanly possible.
Star Wars Forever, episode 53.
I saw something recently where someone was pointing out that one of the things that they've done is create a series of little short cartoons for children that are basically small child-friendly recaps of the original Star Wars trilogy. Which one is to you can catch kids up on the story. They can watch a more child-friendly film that gets them into the thing for the slightly more child-friendly cartoons, instead of watching a movie that's child-friendly but has a lot of people getting killed in it, etc. But
I was like, we're gonna cut off your arm here, because we're having a disagreement in a bar. Surprise.
But one of the things that someone was pointing out is that one of the main reasons that Disney is doing stuff like that is because they want to make the Star Wars characters their own little Disney characters, because they want Luke Skywalker, the Disney character, instead of Luke Skywalker, the character played by Mark Hamill.
Yes. Mark Hamill can still voice act him for a while, but, or they'll eventually phase that out, too.
Yeah, because, they've done all this, really creepy digital de-aging shit to bring Mark Hamill back as young Luke Skywalker for The Mandalorian and all these other nonsense TV things that are happening.
Yes.
But overall, they want to have a brand. They don't want to have an actor anymore, because that was the old studio system where you had an actor that was linked to your studio, and that actor worked exclusively for that studio, and you made the actor a big name because you wanted to go see the now I'm blanking on actor names, but
the Harrison Ford.
Yeah, but that was later too.
The Clark Gable. There we go.
You'd go see the Clark Gable movie, and it was the actor's name was the biggest frickin' thing on there. Then you had the collapse of that iteration of the studio system where actors had exclusive contracts, and then you had more actors were still a big deal, but then it was a fight over who could get the actor. Harrison Ford made movies for Paramount and for Fox. He wasn't contracted to only one studio for all time. And now they're trying to recreate that studio system by owning franchises. Disney is buying up all these franchises And then it doesn't really matter. They have Star Wars, which is its own disconnected thing from any of the actors who are in Star Wars or were in Star Wars. It doesn't matter if you make a Star Wars animated cartoon with Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford in it or not.
Yeah, you got basically the encapsulation of what people desire, which is the Star Wars, as opposed to the actor of the old studio system.
But
and you can keep producing that, ad nauseum forever, because it is not attached to people that actually exist.
Yeah, but now one of the things that they're doing as a transitionary element in there is to take Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker and turn it into Disney's Luke Skywalker.
Mm-hmm. I think this kind of a moment is sort of demonstrated in that scene in the movie where she's renegotiating the contract, where it's like, yes, everyone else has, other than you two, have been transitioned to fully new creations from that the studio produced. It just, you guys kind of lucked out, the last two standing sort of situation.
Yeah, now it's all original characters, which is the thing that a lot of people are worried about in the AI space, which did get addressed somewhat in the strikes and things. But if you could do AI voice acting, then you don't need a actor at all, because you can draw the character and have an original owned character, and you can AI the voice and have an AI actor voice, and then you don't even have to worry about what they look like at all, because you just have your original character.
Indeed. So it's a lot cheaper. You just turn the computer on and feed it the script, and there you go.
Yeah, and then you have an AI write the script, which is what they were saying at the end. They don't need script writers or anything anymore.
All those peons that we've long commanded are now irrelevant, because it is now beyond film.
I think it's interesting, actually, having this, and if people listened to our last episode on Tomorrowland back to back, these are essentially the same message that keeps being redone in various science fiction tropes. They just change what the thing is. It's basically just a fundamental misunderstanding of what opiate of the masses meant. And then they just change what it is. This is saying drugs and/or drugs as a stand-in for entertainment, the movie entertainment business system, is distracting people from reality, and then that's letting reality crumble around you. Tomorrowland was future ball that is a representation of social media doom scrolling, is distracting you from reality and letting it crumble around you.
And different versions of entertaining yourself to death, which I believe is actually a name of a book.
Yeah.
I should probably read it at some point.
The only thing that I can think of that did that in a less weirdly critical way, well, they still did a little bit. Like Ready Player One did reality is crumbling around you because of VR game, but VR game is also just too good. But I guess at the end of the movie they did say that no one's allowed to play on Thursdays, so they have to go live in the real world one day a week, and that'll fix everything.
Well, I guess if that's actually going to get people to do things that fix the world, maybe? Otherwise people are just going to be bored.
Yeah. But it's just there keeps being different, boring as hell iterations of, but we would fix the world if people would just stop distracting themselves from how bad things are.
Yeah, there's only so much of this kind of messaging that really kind of is going to be effective in the end, and so there are. I'd say that that's probably one of my own critiques of this film, that it is sort of a, oh golly, that's this sort of message is there. Well, we've also seen it before, so. But I guess it also fits in with the theme.
It does, but then the only critique that I have of the film doing something like this is like, why? Why is this message in here? Because the film doesn't seem to really want to say anything about it.
Yeah. I guess, as I said, kind of fits with the theme that, in the end, everything just sort of being, some variation of something that's been produced ages ago fills up the entire world. That's the experience of almost everybody except those that, are there to produce the materials, or, just to keep them running effectively, is sort of a variant on it, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, if you sort of cut out the, that this is, letting the world outside, crumble, sort of a part of it. It is, this world might be crazy magical with all sorts of weird, trippy stuff going on, but it's also going to be very samey over the long haul.
Also, then, who's, it's supposed to be endless random variation or whatever, but eventually people would get bored of being blitzed out in a cartoon all the time.
Yeah. It's like, well, I'm hanging out as Vishnu today. Again, what else is there? Anything? No? Then what's the point?
Yeah. To distract you from reality. One of the things that was mentioned in the book synopsis is that when he, clears his system of the drugs in the future, he sees how...
It was a she. I thought it was a she.
Is it she?
It was a kind of funky name, though.
Okay, so maybe it was. Maybe I misremembered. But then the main character clears the drugs out of their system. Yeah, he realizes it's now the 8th day. At least the synopsis I read was gendering them male.
All right.
So anyway.
All right. Yeah, it's sort of an Eastern European-ish sort of name. Ijon Shishi?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mean, if it is a female lead, they got involved with a woman, so that's pretty progressive for the 70s.
Hooray!
But anyway, one of the things they have at the end, which I see a lot in these, what is your perception of reality type things, is instead of everything being colorful, Baroque architecture, etc., when you get off of the drugs, everything's just, gray concrete walls. How bleak and depressing. And it's like, what exactly is the fundamental difference between taking a drug that makes you see concrete walls as Baroque architecture and putting plaster molds of Baroque architecture on a concrete wall?
It's not really a whole lot. It's one looking upon it, makes you happy. The other one makes you happy, but is animated.
Yeah, I'm very fundamentally bored to tears by this. Oh my God, what is reality? Is there something real outside of our perceptions of reality sort of thing? That no one seems to want to say anything particularly new or interesting about, other than, did you know that you don't actually see or interact with the world? It's just the way your brain interprets light waves bouncing off of things. Oh my God.
Was it Descartes that was all about that sort of demon?
Yeah.
That, you could be manipulated into, experiencing a whole other world just because it's, talking to your brain and, standing between you and any actual senses.
Yeah, his whole thing was just, the only thing that I can fundamentally prove is that I know that I exist. Therefore, that's the only thing that I can base any particular continuation of my philosophy on.
I prefer, I think, therefore I strut.
But it's such a fundamentally useless question. Is reality fundamentally different than the way that we as humans can experience it with our senses and way of interacting with the world? I don't know, probably. We're never going to know because we're fundamentally limited by our senses and way of interacting with the world.
I think perhaps one of the few films that kind of, I guess, pokes at this in a more interesting or at least more constructive way is actually The Matrix. Because, it's like, there's the real world and the world, The Matrix, and, all that sort of dichotomy between the two. And, the world, The Matrix is, well put together while the real world's all falling apart, decayed, bombed out existence. But when you're in The Matrix, it might not be, quote, a real world here. And, but upon sort of learning that, you are able to push the limits of it. You are able to go, all right, so this is the world that is being told to me, that I am being, that is being expressed into my brain, doing the whole, demon sort of business there. However, I'm going to push back, and I'm going to test its limits and possibly bend or break them in time. So let's go. I'm going to be all like, hear me roar at this stuff here. I'm going to think so hard, the demon's going to give up.
Let's see, I think that I would say that the reason that The Matrix feels like a better exploration of that concept than other media exploring that concept is because The Matrix isn't really about what is reality the way that some of these things are purporting themselves to be. The Matrix is about reality manipulation as an example of one of the forms that a power structure that is trying to manipulate and control your existence can take.
Yes.
It is. That's why you can get so many fundamentally trans interpretations of the Matrix, which you can look up all over. I think Jessie Gender just did one recently. Dang, what's the Avanok? I'm trying to remember her YouTube name because it's a really, really good video.
I should remember how to pronounce it myself. I'm seeing some of the letters, but I'm not seeing them all right now.
Let me look at this up. Let's see. Aronok. Thank you.
Yeah.
Aronok.
I was thinking Eric Hoker for a while, but yeah.
No. Aronok did an incredibly good video called "The Matrix is Intrinsically Trans." You can find these really good ways that you can definitely read the movie, and one of the things there is because trans and queer people more generally, but trans people more specifically, have a reality set by the system that is fundamentally different than the way they are experiencing the world, but the system controls the reality around you so strongly and fundamentally that it's difficult to even conceive that the way that you actually experience the world is fundamentally possible. So like The Matrix, as much as people like to talk about it as, are we in a simulation right now? I saw a glitch in The Matrix because I don't understand how chickens work, which is a video I literally saw like 3 days ago. Someone didn't understand the fight or flight response of a chicken and went, oh my God, it's a glitch in The Matrix.
Wow.
Yeah. Because chickens stop moving when they see a hawk, and they're like, oh, the chickens suddenly froze. Oh my God, we live in a simulation.
It's like, no, they have a behavior. Deal with it.
But it's not a story that's about, is this reality? It's a story about being able to challenge the reality that is presented to you by a powerful and oppressive system.
Yes. So I guess maybe for this film, they did set up an interesting possibility, especially right there at the end of, all right, so you go into the world of chemistry there, and there's all the ampules for various different, well-established whatevers here. But what if what you wanted to be was yourself, or a different version of yourself, or if you're trans, a different gender, and what options are available for you to sort of push those limits in that hallucinatory world there, but we don't really do that other than Robin sort of taking on the role of Aaron in order to track him down at the end. It's like, all right, so now you're being a specific person, but this specific person, is already well defined. It isn't letting you be the creator of this new, existence, the one that you want to be in this new world. I kind of wanted that sort of ending to it, honestly.
Yeah, because the only thing that's fundamentally wrong with The Matrix as, a fake reality is the fact that it is a system of dictatorial control being enacted on the people who live in it. They give you a bit of I understand science fiction allegory doesn't always need to function completely. It's an argument that I get in with people a lot. But when you don't do much to expand your allegory, all you get in something like this is the world outside of the hallucination is falling apart in such an unbelievably unrealistic way that it's difficult for you to even take that as a critique of this is what is wrong with the world, is that the drugs are making everyone ignore reality.
Yeah, I guess, also this particular world in this film, it's kind of implied that despite being in this hallucinatory existence, that everyone's still being taken care of. They might not be well washed or in a place that's, nice to look at in the real world, but they are kind of just hanging out and are not starving. They're not, succumbing to, disease and sickness. They're, living their best life in the hallucination. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
And as far as you can tell, they're mostly just sort of standing around, wearing slightly dingy clothes.
Yeah.
Oh,
and sometimes they get on trains apparently.
Yeah.
And I guess that's part of how they get from place to place in their the hallucinatory existence there. But it is still sort of a everyone's just kind of chilling, and they are just being okay generally, and being anything that they need is being supplied by the world controlling Miramax Nagasaki Corporation. And I guess the corporation just keeps doing this because inertia?
Yeah. Why? Out of the goodness of their heart? They don't seem to be making any money out of it.
Well, if they're the only game in town at this point, they're kind of running the world, and they're like, oh, now we have to run the world. Oh. we made all the money, and now we don't have anything to spend it on other than just keeping everyone alive.
Yeah, there was there was a Ninja Turtles episode about that at one point. They go to the future where Shredder's taken over the world, and they break into his big palace, and he's just surrounded by paperwork. He's like, "Oh my God, this is so much work! Please just take it back."
I'm also reminded of a bit from Doctor Who, like the classic series, where the Doctor's like, isn't the world a bit big? What are you going to do with it? There's only like 6 of you. Like, taking over the world, it's kind of a silly idea.
Well, that's like you were saying, that's the thing that I was expecting out of this movie was the AI thing, the exploration of what that means for creativity. And if you have a AI actor, are they making the art? Is the animator making the art? Is it the art of the person that they scanned originally? I don't know why they switched to the drug thing. I don't know why they included both.
Well, they had to do the drug thing because that's what the novel was about.
Yeah, but the other part wasn't in the novel at all, so...
True. So, I guess if they ever want to remake this, we cut it in half, make it 2 different movies, and then you're good to go.
Yeah. And take out the weird line about how anyone who's confused, this is about how antidepressants make you ignore reality.
Dr. Becker's, you can just go to hell.
There's a lot of reasons to critique our use of antidepressants in society. That's not exactly one of them.
Well, I guess maybe in universe, maybe the Doc's just like so done with everything that he's like, I just want to say stuff that I, would not have been, been taken seriously, but I'm the only doctor around here now who's not like in the hallucinatory world, so I win the medicalness.
Yeah, who's peer reviewed now?
Whatever I say is medicine. Yeah, so the Congress, it's a pretty weird, flawed movie, but I still generally enjoyed it. It brings up some interesting stuff, but doesn't investigate them, quite as nicely as I would like myself.
Yeah, and, it's very chill. It's a bit slow. It's probably worth checking out if you're interested in seeing some weird animation,
including that very lewd fish tank there.
Yeah, it's not the best animation that I've seen. It's not the most creative, stunning animation I've seen in something. I think if you want to engage with these concepts in a better animated movie, you should go watch Paprika.
I'll endorse that. But if you're going to be watching, several movies on the, similar themes here, you can see them both.
Yeah. So. But this one is way slower paced. Yeah.
Yes. Either put it early in the movie marathon where people are still kind of wandering in, and then they're like, "What the hell's going on?" Or like after Paprika, so that you're like, "Okay, so we need to like chill for a little bit."
Yeah, when you want a nap.
Yeah. Especially that first third of the movie, because all the live action stuff. It's like, all right, it's me doing the script, synopsis writing here is keeping my attention focused. But like the first time I saw this, is like, wow, this is really really slow. And I almost didn't make it the first time I watched it a few years back because of that. And it's like, well, this is kind of getting some weirdness, but I'm still kind of curious where this might be going.
Well, I think what tells you the pacing of this movie is the live action section of the synopsis was about 7 minutes long. That was the first 40 minutes of the movie.
Yep. So, it's like, all right, we're going to be kind of gazing at things, and there's some weird visuals and chit chat about whatever, and I'm skipping over most of that. Even though it is kind of, cool. But I would say, in terms of films I've seen, it is, way more action-packed at the beginning than the most dull movie I've ever seen. Do you have any idea what I'm going to say is that?
Think through what would be so dull in the beginning, but I think I just have too many options.
Well, the movie that I'd say is way more dull is not just dull at the beginning; it's dull all the way through.
I mean, I can think of several of those too. What was the most? I mean, Dune. Dune was actually fairly dull in the beginning, if we're being honest. But
are we talking the more recent one?
Yeah, or, the new one where it's all just the entire first movie is just long, sweeping helicopter shots of sand. Come on.
Well, I think I'd still probably enjoy that more than I did Mr. Turner.
I've never seen that.
I would not recommend it. It is basically the film equivalent of watching paint dry. Sure, it's a pretty painting that you're seeing the paint dry on, but it's still same thing. Like all the really entertaining bits are in the trailer, actually.
Oh, okay, fun.
Yeah.
So go watch the trailer, and then
and then that's the experience, the best way you'd experience it. Anyway, I think we're meandering a little bit.
Yeah. So in interest of also not having terrible pacing that puts you to sleep, it's time for the Galaxy's favorite game show.
Woo-hoo! Hey everybody! Excuse me.
I was just please don't do that.
Welcome to the Galaxy's favorite game show, and I'll try not to go to my animated voice too much here, although it's coming back like. Anyway, our first prize is the Meta Concert Prize, which goes to all the folks engaged at the chemistry party, as they're all like sharing the experiencing the funky hallucinations, and just being next to someone like gives you enough of a high that you can see that they are clearly some sort of Egyptian god. What do they win, Gepwin?
They win just LSD. If you're going to go to a big concert party, as I understand it, you just take acid. It seems simpler.
But that hallucination won't last forever, right?
I mean, I don't know. Anyway. It could. Depends on who you ask and which version of anti-drug propaganda you're listening to.
True. Our second prize is the Terrible Economics Prize, which goes to Marymount Nagasaki for kind of taking over the world with their chemistry, but doing so kind of just leaves everything falling apart, and now they have to run the world. Yeah, that kind of sucks for them. What do they win, Gepwin?
They win probably the only reason anything in this economic system is still functioning. Large corporate tax breaks.
The biggest tax break in the universe, because, they kind of like don't have much of a government left because everyone decided to get high.
Yeah, all the government does is pay them to take care of everything.
Yes. Our third prize is the Holistic Detective Prize, which goes to Robin Wright for how she finds Aaron in the end just by becoming him. If you're going to find somebody, what if you were him? This is very Dark City suddenly. What does she win, Gepwin?
She wins the full Dick Tracy sort of private eye treatment where all she does is like someone goes like, I'm missing my child. She goes, give me a minute. I will become your child. Like, good job. This is the easiest detective job ever.
Solves all your problems.
Robin Wright's Missing Person Agency.
Our next prize is the TV Love Story Prize, which goes to Dylan for kind of being a creepy stalker, but then, still getting the girl despite that. What does he win, Dylan? Not Dylan. Gepwin. There we go. I'm getting all confused. Gepwin, are you giving off pheromones?
Yes. Sexy
Stop
pheromones. Dylan wins with animated binoculars because if he's going to be a weird stalker, he should stop actually talking to people. It's still not great, but maybe it's better than insinuating yourself into the person's actual life.
Mm-hmm. He could also join that nudist naturist commune and, then he just hangs out with naked people all the time too.
Yeah, then you could go deal with the anti-feminist part of the movie that we didn't talk about.
Yeah. Anyway, there's the next prize is the Agent Asshole Prize, which goes to Al because he is kind of a crappy person and is, exploiting people for his own gain. What does he win?
He wins studio contract because it seems like just that's a high-level studio executive is just a crappy person who exploits others for his own gain. I think he's just doing it.
Yep. He got on the wrong side of the business here. He should have been an exec, not an agent. Come on, Al. Our final prize here is the Millennial Job Outlook Prize, which goes to Dylan, Robin, Christopher, and basically anyone who works in making movies or other formats of non-chemistry-based entertainment. For the hotshot new tech has replaced the artists and the dreamers, Gepwin. Oh no. What do they win?
All right, they get to choose. Either you get the hallucinogen that makes your life feel okay even though the world is falling apart around you, or the hammer that you use to smash in the executive skulls and take all their money. I mean, both should kind of work.
I think I know what I would pick there, Gepwin.
Also, if you drug the executives first, they're happy about it.
Indeed. And given that the flow of time is completely subjective for them at that point, they can experience an entire lifetime living happily ever after in those few remaining seconds of their existence. And thus it's not unethical, right?
Yeah, it's basically not like killing them at all.
Anyway, that's all I got here, Gaprin. And take us away before I have some accidents.
Before things become even more animated and probably mildly annoying to listen to. This has been the Galaxy's Favorite Game Show!
We made it, Gepwin.
Yeah, it went by too fast in the synopsis to mention, but the fact that they have the, they specifically set up the daughter as a countercultural element, and then talk about her being part of the resistance, and then her final thing is that she's off having babies like a good person to carry on the human race. Like, you couldn't put a less feminist message in this damn movie.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a turn, but if you're trying to paint someone as just being, a rebel without a cause, you'll rebel against anything sort of position. Having her rebelling against the onset of chemistry at one point, and then rebelling against the, the sort of norm of just, indulging and, just sort of being and existing by doing something, aka anything, would be, I guess, a form of rebellion. I guess.
Yeah, sort of, but they don't set it up well enough, and it's just like, you can't say you're rebelling by doing the same thing we want you to do now.
Yeah.
That's a hard endorsement of the system as it exists now in modern time.
I have no qualms with folks wanting to start families and have kids and all that sort of thing. But to sort of have a trajectory like this one without trying to, I guess, shore it up so that it makes sense is it's a pile of like really annoying and bad tropes kind of coming together.
Yeah. It's the Brave New Worlding again, which is the problem I had with Brave New World. Didn't think about what they were saying about anything.
So maybe we should write our own Brave New World, Gapwin.
Yeah, are we going to just make up a utopia that doesn't actually work and go, this is why nothing can be better?
Well, I guess also I've been sharing a book that I have acquired and read with some friends in another Discord here that is sort of a Brave New World, but it's also obvious from the get-go that the narrator's like, yeah, this place actually sucks, but it's sort of designed to make us happy enough. And this is how I kind of stopped going with that. But, it's a fun story there. But anyway, so the future it's different.
Yeah, but now we're gonna go to a familiar future because now we're done with all the movie things. So we're going back to Star Trek for season 3.
Yes, some sort of Star Trekking across the universe.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're back to Star Trek season 3 is when everyone agrees that Next Generation takes off and goes like, ooh, yeah, now it's good. That's where the good stuff is.
Some shifting of who the showrunners were at some point. I forget exactly when, and there was different vibes. The Pulaski left. Beverly Crusher's back. We got some big stories to go through. We got different vibes and different sort of, I guess, takes on how you sort of put together stories for Star Trek, and we are getting away from the classic TOS sort of style storytelling entirely. So, hooray!
Yeah, now it's kind of its own thing. It's doing all of its. This is going to be some of the more like big famous episodes that everyone knows.
Mm-hmm.
This next one is the one that has such a generic name that no one remembers what it is, even though it's one of the more iconic ones. Has some iconic lines.
Indeed. I recall some of them involve baseball.
Yeah. So the next episode is the first episode of the 3rd season called Evolution, which is not to be confused with all the other times that they referenced evolution or had people evolve or de-evolve or whatever.
I guess in terms of evolution as a general concept, this one is probably better than the rest of them.
Yeah, generally.
Because, it's not involving nonsense biology that doesn't work that way ever.
Yeah, this one's about nanites, so really it's the precursor to Michael Crichton's Prey.
Oh, no. Yeah, I guess to look forward to throughout the season, we got the return of Sarek. We got Barclay shows up for the first time. We got a alternative reality of what if the Enterprise was like in a situation where they were at war constantly. We got Rashomon, Star Trek style. We got the one where the writers didn't like it because it kind of tried to tackle hard issues about like civil wars and stuff. And they're like, we want to do a message show, but we messed it up. And everyone's like, this is actually a pretty good episode, though. Mm-hmm. We got a wormhole shows up. That's pretty cool. We got boobies and traps.
Yeah, both in separate episodes because we also have that. We have the naked Ferengis coming back. So
indeed. We have uber beings that are able to wave their hand and destroy entire civilizations. We got Romulans. We got guys that can jazzercise their way out of a transporter beam. And of course, we have some sort of like big cube that attacks the Federation, I guess.
Yeah, we have like all the iconic episodes, ending with the most iconic episode.
Yes.
But we're not getting to that for a while.
Yes. That will be the season ender there. So also we meet Lau. She's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was neat.
Yeah.
Hopefully, becomes a fun reoccurring character.
Yeah. Yeah, just hanging out in the 10 forward, serving people drinks, kissing random people as they walk in, as you do.
Yeah.
So look forward to the next season of Watches of Tomorrow as we tackle the next season of Star Trek, The Next Generation. Are you excited, Geplin?
Yeah, I'm very excited. We get to talk about some of the actual things that people will remember.
Next time on Watchers of Tomorrow, Nanomachine, son. You have been listening to Watchers of Tomorrow, a podcast on science fiction media. Find and follow Watchers of Tomorrow on Podbean, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, Spreader, Digital Podcast, and perhaps many more to come. If you enjoy our podcast, make sure to subscribe for more. And where possible, make sure to rate your experience or leave us a review. You may find Gepwin on youtube.com/Gepwin and Twitter @Gepwin. You may find me, Dr. Isix, on youtube.com/Dr. Isix and Twitter @IsixLP. Music is Waveform and Maury's Principle, both by DRKRN. You can also check out the Watchers of Tomorrow Discord channel. Make sure to share the experience with your friends, family, enemies, and alien overlords. If you feel you are suffering from transporter syndrome, please be aware that the next time you step off the transporter, that you, that is now, no longer exists.